first came across this game in the 1970s when my dad bought a set of it in Cardiff. I can vaguely even remember the store. I can't remember the name of it, but I always remember we used to have a good look there for games, toys, and this one week we picked up. Looking at it now with a lot more historical knowledge, my first thought is, okay, that's a lovely looking box, very evocative of the era, except the ships, Constantinople and the Arabs, there's two different time periods there. Okay, I'm not probably overthinking this. I'm not, I am a historian at the end of the day, in my spare time. But I suppose that's not a good start. But having picked up a copy at Conference of Wargamers, and thanks to John Curry for that, I wanted to see what it was like. Was it just I enjoyed the game, or was it actually a good game? Let's have a look. Now it says it's for 2 to 4 players, aged 12 and upwards. What do we have on the back? Game of high strategy which controls one of 4 capitals, and this brings up a straight problem. Rome, Constantinople, Carthage and Alexandria. They're not contemporary with each other. There's a problem. So you've got strategic placement of foot soldiers, elephants and knights and ships, and they prepare the way for battles of survival and elimination. The object being to control all 4 capitals. A game for 2 to 4 players aged 12 and upwards. Okay, I can see why my younger self would have been attracted to this. So let's open the box and have a look. So it's got a very much game board of the era, nice and solid, and oh wow, I think the expression there is psychedelic, isn't it? That is very, very much of its time. Yeah, I think that would be something that would probably change in a modern equivalent of this. But it was never a particularly big game. It was almost forgotten, I think. Now, one thing I'm spotting as I look at it, I know the 4 powers aren't right, but it's not a symmetric game. Rome has got very little sea to deal with. Carthage has got a lot of sea to deal with because of the islands. Dotted lines are naval lanes, and the solid lines are roads. Okay, that straight away makes it a bit asymmetric, which for the era is pretty rare. So I like that. That's off to a really nice start. Yeah, not too happy with the colour scheme. Let's just put that up the way. And I can't say we've got an instruction book. We've got one sheet, double-sided. That's all there is. And then we've got the pieces again. There's a nostalgia to this for me. So let's start with these. We've got some special cards, and you've got 2 general treason and 2 popular revolt. And players will have 1 or 2 of these, depending on how many are playing, and they will actually give you special powers. So general treason, you can actually move an opposing piece, and popular revolt, you can actually eliminate a unit that's in your capital. Okay, we then get which cards there, jokers and the bridge scoring card. I remember when we got this, one of those was missing. I can't remember which one. With the end result, we actually used the jokers. Oh, look at the age of these cards. That is taking me back seeing these. Yeah. So we've got the cards. Okay, any deck of cards would do. So if you did find yourself trying to pick up a copy, any ordinary cards will do. And then we've got the pieces in 4 different colours, and they do actually match the colours on the board. So you've got Constantinople in blue, red for the Egyptians, black for the Carthaginians and white for the Romans. Now each force is identical, you don't get anything different between the different sides, and these are in quite nice condition. I remember on mine some of these flags had broken off. So you have 3 foot soldiers, very medieval I would say looking at that design, but with a shorter bow. But it does look like sort of the illustrations that you'd expect to see from the Middle Ages. So you get 3 foot soldiers, you get 2 ships. Now, I didn't think anything of it when I was playing it at the time, but they are very later period, I would say. So you get 2 ships, you get 1 knight, and the knight's got special ability, it can move further, but it can also be, apologies for that, that's the cat deciding to use his cat litter bag as a scratching post, ignoring the scratching post. You gonna come and say hello, Cupid? Nope, he's just shaking his head and run off. Makes a change, he used to be all over these videos. So, we've got the knight moves further and in combat is more effective. And then you've got the elephant. Slower, but much more effective in combat. So each player has got those. So we'll skim quickly through the rules because I think it's worth just giving a quick explanation, just so you can see how it goes. So we've got the object of the game basically to conquer the other side. So rules for 4 players. Nicely thought out touch here. You take partners and play 2 against 2. And it actually points out there's 3 different combinations. You can have east against west, you can have north against south, or you can have diagonal allies. That gives you a bit of variation. And each turn, what you do is you draw a card from the pack and add it to your hand, showing it to the others. Okay? Play a special card if required, and then you can move 1 piece or 2 foot soldiers. And what they do is they just move 1 zone, and they will move along the solid lines. Now, you can, if it's a foot soldier, you can move 2. Anything else, you can just move once. Okay? And if you take it into a town occupied by the enemy, you have a fight. Now, elephants always move 1. Knights can move 1 or 2 along the solid lines. Foot soldiers move 1, but you can move 2 of them. And ships can actually move on the dotted lines and along the coastal ones, which is often forgotten. But so you could move from Alexandria to Tobruk, from Tobruk to an unnamed place there, and from there to Tripoli. And ships will move 1 space at a time. Now, a rule we always used to forget, if I'm honest, forced marching. You can make a double move by playing 1 or more cards, totaling 3 per double move. 3 or more. Is it 3 or more? Minimum 3, yeah. And this can either be 2 moves with the same piece, or you can move another piece. Is that reading that right? So there's either 2 successive moves or 1 single move to different pieces. Okay, yeah. So you can't move into a town already occupied by a friendly force, but what you can do is move through it onto the next unoccupied town. And you can't pass through enemy locations. Now when you come to a battle, you've got a hand of cards. And what you do is you play 2 cards. Both players do that, so there's no dice. Now this is where the cavalry and the elephants come in. A cavalry unit doubles the lower value card. Elephants double the highest value card. So it does give a bit of flexibility. Now, very important note, however, you can have spies. Now a spy, you have to total 2 points. If you total 2 points, you both play when you play your cards, you look at what they've got, and then you can play cards again. but you've used a lot more cards. And remember, you're only picking up one a turn. Now, if you play a jack or a queen, it's treated as a value of 0, and you pick that back up. Anything else goes into the discard pile, except for kings, which are worth 10, I believe. Well, that is actually correct now, I've said that. But the king is discarded because they say it's too much of an advantage. Okay, fair enough. We've mentioned about the special cards, and basically you win when for a complete round you hold both of your opponent's capitals. Okay, or you can win if they've got no more pieces left. As soon as you're out of pieces, you're out of the game. And there are variants for 2 and 3 player. We regularly used to play it as 2 player, and it was great fun. It's quite nostalgic for me to see this. I will be interested. I'm going to try and test this with my grandkids. I'm going to see what they make of it. So I hope that's been, if like me, you've seen this before, a blast of nostalgia. If you haven't, then I hope that was of interest to you. And it's a nice little bit almost of archaeology of wargaming to find something like this. See you soon for another video.